Hello and welcome to my first video here on YouTube. This is going to be hopefully a really super chill little painting tutorial. I'm going to pick up a few models that I really enjoy and something that I really want to paint and share it with you here. We're going to start off today with Space Marine Heroes. I think these boxes are fantastic. They're £5 from local Games Workshop. I've already broken into it. You can see on the back here, there's a variety of little models you can get. They're really cool, really detailed, and I think for £5, you're not going to get any better value for money. We'll break into this now. You can see I've already really torn into it. I got a little bit excited in the shop and wanted to know what I got. And needless to say, didn't get the super rare one. What we did get, if I can find the card, is Brother Vinyl. Now, please let me know if I absolutely butchered that pronunciation. That's something you're going to have to get used to. So here we are. This is what you get in the box. You get the little card telling the guy who you've got. Shows you a nice little painting scheme. And on the back here, a nice little detailed character. We get this great little guide. I think this is really cool and really fun. Not only does it show you how to build the model, on the back here, it's also got all the possible guides you can get. These look really cool and really fun. I think we'll be getting a few more of these boxes and building and painting them on this channel. And let's hope we get the Brother Captain, because I think that would be a great little thing to do. So let's have a look at the sprue. Now, Games Workshop have been churning out some really great models lately. Over the past couple of years, they've really been pushing forward with their sculpts. I mean, here, this is £5. We get a really detailed base. We get two different styles of heads. These are all push fit and these are all really cool and detailed. This guy here, he's got a really dynamic pose. He's there with his bolt gun. He's throwing a grenade. I think it's really cool and this would be a really fun one to start with. So let's move on to getting him cut out and getting him built. Now our model is fully assembled. It's all glued together. The glue's dried. I've tidied up some of the little bits from the sprue. We're going to go ahead and put a base coat of paint on him. Now I'm going to use Cantor Blue. I was going to go and put a kind of primer on him, but I thought really the plastic's all nice and blue. We're painting blue over for the style of model. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. So first of all, give a pot of paint a good shake. Get a little on our brush. I am going to dilute this down with a few drops of water, just as a base coat, just so it sort of sticks to the model a little bit better. Give it a bit of a mix. A nice runny, milky consistency. Bit of a twist. And then let's get some paint on the model. So I'm painting blue over blue, just to give that the paint a really good surface to stick to. The plastic is very glossy to begin with, and it doesn't actually give a good reflection of the light, so I'm going to really dull it down with this blue. As you can see, I'm not being particularly neat about this. I'm just going all over the model, really working the paint into all the little joints. Won't worry about the base so much, as we'll come back and do that with a different colour a bit later, but it's a simple case of going around the whole model. Don't have to be too neat about it. Just make sure you cover all that blue up so it really dulls down that shiny blue. So I'll finish this up and we'll come back when this is all dry. Once you've gone around the entire model, top and bottom, in Cantor Blue, you start to see the real difference it makes between the original colour of the plastic and the colour of the blue. Our next colour we're going to apply is Baden Black. And this is going to be used for all the little joints and all the armour, the gun, the grenades, and some details on the belts. So much of the Cantor Blue, give the pot of paint a shake. We're going to get a little on the brush, not too much, as we're only doing smaller areas this time. I am just going to give it one little drop of water, just to improve the flow. . Small little mix, a little bit of a twist, and just a case of painting in all the little joints. Now I do have a Bad and Black very watery, as it's a very awkward colour to go and cover up again. So I do a couple of thin coats, it goes into all the little recesses, and it's really easy to paint. So if I can actually get on camera there, we'll just go in there, and like I said, we'll go on the entire model, paint all the little recesses, all the little bits on the gun, and bits and pieces like his belt, just in there. The next colour we're going to paint is Lead Belcher, and this is for all the metallic parts, such as the gun, the belt, his other little gun on the back here, and bits and pieces on his backpack. So, much like everything else, we're just going to go around very carefully painting the metallic bits. Just be very careful around what you've already painted. Use the box art or this handy little card to pick up all the bits and pieces you need to. Just like so. Right, I'm now going to go off and finish painting this up, and we'll be back in a bit. Once we're happy with all the base colours, we're going to move on to apply our first wash, and that is going to be Known Oil. Now, Known Oil works both well for doing the power armour, all the metal bits, and basically to darken all the black bits, if that makes any sense at all. So it was really one that really will bring all the colours we've put on the model so far together. So give it a little bit of a shake. We're not going to water this down, but we're not also going to use it straight from the pot. Going to get our brush, get some on our palette. Now I'm going to apply this in two different ways. For all the metal areas, I'm going to apply it all over, so it really grinds down the metal and takes rid of that shine. But for the armour, we're going to go really detailed and just go into all the little bits of the armour, which I'll show you first. So just here, say on the kneecap, instead of washing the whole bit of the armour, we're just going to go in there and almost like we're just painting the lines in. And what that will do, that will darken up all these little crevices and really make everything stand out. So you can see there, compared to one to the other. And we're just going to do that for the entirety of the model. So anywhere there's a bit of a line on the armour, you're going to go around, try to be as neat as you can of it. We are going to go back and neaten up with some Cantor blue again, some areas that we've probably gone over too much with. But the neater you are, the less you have to do, and the quicker your painting's going to be. So take your time with it, don't need to rush it. It is probably the longest part of painting the model, but it really does make a difference doing this. So I'll just go around the rest of the model, picking up all the small little bits. And as I say, just here on the gun, we're going to give that a very heavy coat. I like how Known Oil works on the metal bits, because it really grinds it down and really gives that realistic, sort of worn and used look. So it's been about 40 minutes now, enough time for the shade to dry, and looking around, really impressed with the results. It's looking good. I did purposely, mind you, just go over this area rather too thick, just to sort of demonstrate what I mean by if you go over any areas too heavily, you can just get a bit of Cantor blue and touch it back up again. But for the majority of the model, it's looking pretty good. And I think we can move on to the next step, which will be doing all the detail bits such as the crest on the front, the shoulder pads, and then moving on to do all this peripheral little bits such as the utility belts and this gun holster. To get that classic kind of ultramarine gold on the shoulder pads and the crest, I'm going to be using Retributor Armour. Again, give it a good shake. These metal paints are very, very thick, so we're going to want to water them down a little bit. Just grab a bit on your brush and on your palette. I'm just going to use a little drop of water from my pot there. Just a good brush, a little twirl, and then we are just going to very, very carefully just take the edge of the brush and just lightly go over. Now this is a very strong colour, so be very careful. If you go over little bits like this, again, you can just go back and touch them up. But the more careful you are now, the less work you have to go back and do. So this may take just a couple of coats to get that really strong, sharp colour. This gold contrasts against everything else in the model, so you really want it to be nice and bright and to stand out. So I'll just demonstrate on the crest. Did very carefully with the tip of your brush. Make sure you get to all the edge bits on the crest, avoiding all the areas you've already painted. And if it requires another coat, wait a few minutes for the paint to dry and then add a second coat. I'll just finish this up here and I'll be right back. Now all the gold trim has been applied, it's starting to really come together and almost looking like a finished model. I'm just going to apply a second wash, and that is of Broken Flesh Shade. That's just to go over the gold and to really tone it down a bit and just go in all those little details, add a bit of shadow. So just a small amount over the crest, and just to tie in the right tone again, carefully along the edges of the shoulder pad. Now, after this, I'm going to block in all the rest of the colours, such as the browns for the utility belts. I'm going to go on and do reds for bits of eyes, get some parchment done on the little purity seal here, and just go around the model and just pick up any little bits and pieces. I'll probably do this all off camera as it's small little bits and pieces, but I'll explain what I've done when I'm back. And we're back. Now, I did get a little bit carried away. That was just because there's so many small little details to do that rather than jumping back, showing you one colour and then going again, I'll just do it all in one hit and come back and review. So the biggest thing is I've done the base. Now, it looked to me it was a very kind of rocky, tarmac, industrial kind of base. So I've given it 2 coats of Mechanicus Standard Grey and then gone over very, very, very heavy known oil to give it a very oily look. So I've just now done that, so you can see it's still wet. That'll take about another 10-15 minutes to dry. But whilst that's drying, we'll go over the rest of the model. I've done a little bit of parchment on his leg here. That was done with Racar Flesh, then washed with some more known oil. Now, if you look at any sort of little guides or even have the Citadel paint app, it will tell you to use a different wash, but I like to use the same shade washes for the whole model. That just kind of stops it really standing out too much, and it's only a small little bit. I don't think anyone's going to notice too much. What else have I done? I think really I've just been around, neatened everything up. As you can see, all the washes have really tied it together. Oh, yes, done the eyes. Eyes are done very straightforward. A little bit of Memphis Red on the tip of your brush, watered down a bit, just so it will flow into the little bits of the eyes, and then washed over again with known oil. So whilst I'm waiting for the base to dry, we are going to move on to some edge highlighting. Now, out in front of me, I've laid out all the colours I'm going to be using. For the black areas, we're going to use Eshin Grey. For the blue areas, we're going to be using Calgar Blue. For the gold, Liberator Gold. The brown, Doombill Brown. And for the metal bits, Stormhost Silver. So once that's dry, we'll pick up the model and make a start. So moving on to some edge highlighting. This stage is very time consuming, much like doing all the shading, but it is probably one of the most important to make a model really stand out, to go from basically this is a finished model to something that is really going to stand out on the battlefield. So to do edge highlighting, you will get a little bit of paint on the tip of your brush. Have it nice and watered down, nothing too runny, just so you get a nice consistent flow. And you want to be picking up all the raised little bits, well, all the edges really. So it's just a case of just very gently just going round and painting the edges. Now the good thing about this is that if you are a bit heavy-handed like I am, and you go over bits and pieces, or you paint a thin line and a thick line and a thin line, you can go back over with your base colour and neaten it back up. But like always, try to be very neat on your first pass, so you haven't got to spend all your time going back over covering your mistakes. Now, if you look on the card art, you can see what we're aiming for. We're aiming to get all the little bits and pieces around here and just go around it and really highlight it. So with the wash, we've gone in all the little areas to create shadow, and with the highlight, we're picking up all the raised areas to do highlights. So this is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to be basically me here for the next 15-20 minutes, however long it takes. You sort of get a bit of a feel for it after a while. To start with, you think, oh my god, this is going to look awful. Then all of a sudden, you just start to get a feel for it. You get the right flow of paint, you get the right consistency, and you just hold your brush in the right way. It's where this little handle from Games Workshop comes into its own, really. You can hold the model, orient it, keeps it very sturdy, and it's great for this stage of painting because you know you've got a firm grip on the model, you can really hang on to it, and you can get that line just right. And because I'm doing this on camera, this is going to look absolutely awful until I go back and neaten things up. So if I can just come back in 10 minutes time, I'll show you where we've got to. It's been a little while now and I've got carried away and carried on with the edge highlighting. It is very tedious, so me doing a video on just edge highlighting the whole model would be about a 40-minute video. Not that interesting to see. I can do some if anyone cares to look at that. However, I've just gone around the entire model in all the colours, just blocking in the lines really. In a lot of instances, say with the blue, I have given it 2 coats just to make it really stand out. Now, I'm not that skilled, as you've probably already seen, so a lot of the lines are very thick, they're not very neat, and when you look at right up close to the camera, isn't that great. So what I tend to do at this stage is just get some blue or whatever the base colour is and just neaten it up. As you can see, we're going to go on this, if you'll focus, right above the leg here. We're just going to go in with some blue and try and make that line a lot neater, just so, well, from a distance it looks really good. So I'll just spend about 5-10 minutes or so going around with some paint, just neatening my lines up. And I say, the better you are at doing the edge highlighting, the less you do at this stage. You may not have to do it at all the better. Just makes things a lot quicker. And I think this is where the real skill comes in. You see some people on YouTube who paint models and it's right first time, and I've got a lot of respect for them because it is difficult. It's not an easy thing to do, and especially if you're painting a lot of minis at one time, the amount of hours they put into it must be incredible. But for me, for now, at this level, I'm quite happy with the standard I churn out. It's not going to win me any awards. I'm not really going to enter any competitions. This is just my own little hobby. Something I want to do. And we'll do that with all different colours. I mean, just a brief summary. I went round with Eshin Grey on all the black bits, on all the gun, on all the metal. I went round with Stormhost Silver, just kind of as acting as a polish really. So we've got all the kind of recesses from the known oil and all the highlights with the Stormhost Silver. On all the golds, I just used again as like a polish, Liberator Gold on all the edge bits and all the tips of the crest. On all the browns, I've used some Doom Ball Brown, just to really pick up the main bits, so the edges, just the little apexes of all the creases, just to sort of really bring out all the highlights. And for the base, I think all we're going to do is give it basically a dry brush, just to pick out all the highlights. May give this a little bit of a coat with some Liberator Gold. Maybe I change my mind, I might go on with some Lead Belcher, just to sort of pick out some details, nothing too much, because I don't like a fancy base, really can detract from the model sometimes. But essentially guys, that is it. I spend a little while now neatening this up and show a picture of it at the end, but if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in a bit.